I'm Richard and welcome to ZP Productions, and today I will take a look at another new one, and this is also provided to me by Linsoul. This is the ZS10 Pro2. This is the version 2, and I remember this is the sub $100 IEM again. I just want to try it out and compare to my other sub $100 IEM. How does it sound like, and is it better or worse? Now you can see this box is really small. I mean, just to compare, this is the Tangzu's box and this is the box here. In fact, this box is pretty small even compared to any other box I have. I think the only box that was smaller than this as audio equipment maybe is my dongle boxes. You see, even my Woo Audio actually has a bigger box. So I mean, this is a really tiny box. I think this is the same one used also in the probably the 7Hz is also pretty small too. Now, without wasting time, let's just open up the box and take a listen. Now, this version has mic, so it'll be useful for people who are still using the mic port, which is quite rare. I mean, if you use it with an Apple dongle, you probably can still use it pretty well. Okay, this is the IEM itself. I have to honestly say, for a sub $100 IEM, this looks pretty good. I mean, without even taking out this, you see, look at this, it's shiny, it's pretty nice. This packaging reminds me of the cheaper Moon Drops. So this is the ZS10 Pro2, and you can see that this is a really nice IEM, semi-translucent case with a metal faceplate. And this is a foam tip, and I dislike this. The first thing I will change is the foam tips. We'll change it later. The driver wise, I'm not too sure of the configuration. I'll actually put it on the screen later, but I can see that there is BAs, there are dynamic drivers, and it's probably a hybrid. So the exact configuration, I'll put it on the screen, and maybe I'll talk a little bit more about the configuration before I do my proper test. But you can see here, this is a pretty nice built IEM, and the connector they use is the jacked out version of the 0.75 type of connection, which, I mean, some people love it, some people don't. I think this is a nice connection, especially if you use it for any form of sports, because your sweat and stuff do not get on it. But if you like to do stuff with your IEM, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm torn between this and the 0.78s, because those are more universals. This is less universal, so it's a case of that. I don't know really, will these be significantly stronger, because considering that it's still a really small connector, I mean, sufficient force will just break it anyway. So not too sure of that. But let's take a look at the tip itself. Now, this is a medium-sized tip, and I can see that the mesh at least is way better than even the Tangzu one. The tip has a lid, so you can see there's a lid here, lip here, and this will allow you to hold onto some of those tips itself properly. Now, this is probably a mid-size to a larger size type of opening, so you probably have to get tips that fit them. But you know what, as I say, I didn't like the foam tip, so I'll remove it and I'll replace it with something good in a moment. But before we do that, let's take a look at the rest of the box here. So this is the IEM. Obviously, this is the cable. These are some tips. I can feel that there are some tips. I will take a look at what tips they are later. Let's take a look at the cables first. Oh, the smell of fresh plastic. Now, this is a translucent cable with the connector itself. Now, I'm really torn in terms of opinions whether I like this cable or not. Initial impression is a bit thin. Not as bad as, say, the 7Hz 02, but definitely not the greatest either. And I'm trying to find which is left, which is right. I mean, I hate translucent ones because they will try to engrave the words on it, and I just cannot see it. Okay, this is I believe the left, and then this is the right. Okay, I fit the tips on. Now let's look at this. Oh, this, I do not know what tip is this. Honestly, I really have no idea what tip is this. No, but I will use the default tips first. before I use any other tips. I mean, this is to be fair to any IEMs I review. I always start off with default tip. Now the default tip is quite interesting. It has some patterns on it. I'm not sure whether is this some really special tip or not, but you can see, I'm not sure you can see, but there are some patterns at the edge of the tip. So it's not like a perfectly round and simple silicone tip itself. So there's probably some special design to this. Without wasting time, let me plug this in first. Okay, and the tips are in, so it looks a lot better to me now. The tips are, personally, I feel that they are a little stinky. So first time I say the tips are stinky, man. I mean, it smells weird. really weird. But you know what? Smell is a smell. It doesn't hurt anyone. So you know what? Let me go and look at the specs now and talk about the sound quality in a moment here. So I'm back now and I went to check some specs out. So as what I said just now, this is a single dynamic driver and 4 balanced armature per side, so making it a 10 driver IEM. I have to say that marketing material is confusing because they wrote there as 10 driver IEM, but you know, it's actually 5 driver per side. So other IEM makers will say 2 DDs per IEM, not 2 DD and 1 DD each IEM or something else. Weird marketing technique. I don't blame them because it does have 10 drivers total, but it does mean that, you know, something like the U18T can say 36 drivers, which is absurd. But you know, let's not waste time on that. Spec wise, as I said, 1 dynamic and 4 BAs, and this is a hybrid IEM. Now there are some switches to set here, and there are some various mechanisms. Now I'm not sure whether is there instruction in the box. Let me take a look. So turn on switch 1, low frequency up by 1 level. Turn off all switch, the basic graph, and that is the basic sound. Turn on all switch. I think turn on all switch will give you a very V shape because it will say that increase high frequencies and increase low frequencies of 3 levels. So I will try it on the default state, which looks like everything on, and this is going to be very bassy, very bright, at least based on this instruction here. But you know what? Let's try. So as usual, my track will be Ibarra, and this is going to be the M17 powering it up. All great, same as my previous review, so nobody's getting an advantage here. So let's take a listen to the song. First, I have to say that on the default setting, it is really bright to me, highly sibilant. So first, I'm going to tweak this down. Let's see whether it makes a difference. Oh, let me see if I can even push it down. Oh, it's surprisingly hard. Okay, I got it down. I pushed number 4 down. So now it will just be bassy. Even that bassy wise, I was listening just now, I don't really feel it's bassy compared to modern IEMs. So let's hear again. Now, first opinion of this IEM, I have to say firstly that this is a very neutral, bright IEM. Even with the switch down, it is still neutral, bright to me in the mids and the highs. Now, it's not like it's so bright that you get sibilance and glare and any of the bad things in the highs, especially after you push down the switch. It's actually pretty okay. I mean, you just get a ultra high clarity IEM without the nasty stuff. So I don't know, man. I would describe it as a U12T like kind of sound, very high clarity and a little bit bright in the mids and the highs. Now the lows wise, I find them very punchy. It doesn't have much sub bass. I mean, I've listened to Ibarra many times. It's a slightly warmish with a sub bass when bass impacts do come in. This one I just hear the impact, but really not much of a sub bass feel. So that is really something. I mean, I really increase every single switch here, so I assume that decreasing them will even have lesser bass response. But this bass itself feels lesser than the recently reviewed Xuan Nv I have here, which I think has even more bass response than this IEM. But you know what? To just make sure that I'm listening to the right thing, let me switch to backlight. Backlight has a very punchy bass. I just want to use it, and most of the IEMs actually have a rumbling like sound if you were to listen backlight. Now with backlight, it really verifies my thoughts. This is really more towards the brightish sound type of IEM. The tuning is really unlike Xuan Nv or even 7Hz. CN-02 here. It's really a different tuning with a more punchy mid bass, not much sub bass, and into the bright, clear sound. It is actually ultra clear, and for female vocals, it feels very elevated. It feels, I don't know how to put it, elevated sound for the female vocals. It sounds like they can stretch higher than they should, the kind of feeling. But it doesn't give like more air to the sound. It just feels like they are higher than expected in the higher pitch regions. So it does make the sound, I don't know, a little thin to me, but the clarity and details are really there. I mean, if you like the kind of sound signature, maybe something like the KSE 1005, I don't know how many of you guys remember it. That kind of sound signature is also very similar to the U12T, but the U12T have a lot better bass. This reminds me of IEMs of the past, where it's pure balanced armature kind of feel. I just don't know how to explain. The bass doesn't feel very like a dynamic driver that I get in modern dynamic driver type of IEMs, such as these 7 Hz here. You know what? Maybe I will just compare this with maybe the Xuan Nv, which I tried recently. They are about the same price range. I mean, this is 55, that's like I think 70 something. So let me have a listen. Honestly say, the Xuan Nv feels like a more complete sound. It feels like there is some sub bass, there is bass, punchy bass, and then there is good mids and good highs. Now, for the ZS10 Pro, well, it's interesting sound. I mean, this IEM has a really bright signature. I mean, the last time I had that is probably at Demotics IEMs. Like, really bright signature. I mean, once you hear this and you hear this actually sounds dull for a moment before you find, hey, yeah, this sounds full. Well, this guy sounds really, really up on top. It pushes the mids and highs, but weirdly, it evades the sibilance. So very nice implementation. I have to say the implementation of removing the sibilance area was great. There is not much sibilance, but it's really high clarity, high brightness, neutral bright type of sound with punchy mid bass, but not much sub bass. The feels are interesting. I mean, if you are listening to pure vocals with no bass, I think the KZ here really can do it. But if you are into any form of bass, it is weird. This ZS10 is weird. It is a very clarity-oriented IEM. So I guess there is really a market for this. I mean, if I was to push all these things down and based on the paper, if it's correct, it will even be less bassy. So I mean, the bass isn't a lot really to start with. I mean, compared to Xuan Nv here or 7 Hz here or any of thing like say Onyx or whatever, it's definitely less bassy than them. But I have to say, the quality, the clarity, the bite in the music, the bite in the instrument, bells and everything sounds really, really good. It feels like high energy, elevated kind of sound, but never too bad. It doesn't feel like overdone. It doesn't feel like the sibilance is there. It doesn't feel like there's glare, there's weird hotness in the treble. It is surprisingly nice at the high ends and the mids. But once you enter the low mids, the lows, it feels a little bit lacking. I mean, this is a unique IEM. I mean, the tuning, considering the price, is a good alternative. People who want less bass and more clarity, more details, more brightness, this is pretty good, pretty good. But personally, I can listen to this because there's no sibilance. But I feel like I just need a little bit of sub bass. I'm getting too used to IEMs with nice bass, with sub bass inside the sound, where we'll have a bit of vibration and feeling in the ears. This one doesn't. So I'm a little bit conflicted saying that this is the IEM for me. I used to love this kind of IEMs, but over time, I do like something with a little bit more bass, a little more oomph at the bottom and still maintain good enough top end. This one is really interesting. I mean, more of the brighter type of sound. But do I recommend this? I think there is definitely a market for this. probably my friends will love it because the clarity and the bite is there. I can imagine that general consumers, when they listen this and listen this, they will say that, oh, this is better because it's just so clear, so nice. There's still mid bass, which is what most people associate bass with. Sub bass and lower bass, where they will shake and have the feel and vibration of it. You don't really need that. And this is like, as I say, neutral bright one means that the lower mids are not so much, but it's okay. A lot of the modern tunings that you get in the market today are also like this. I can imagine that if somebody was to walk in the shop and try this and then try the Xuan-E or try something like the 7 Hz here, they may actually pick this because it just feels higher quality due to the clarity itself. So overall, I think this is an interesting IEM, a very interesting IEM. I won't say that it's something bad because this is definitely the IEM not for me, but I can imagine that many people will love it. I mean, this is truly interesting. I really want to listen to it a bit more. Maybe I will like it over a long period of time because of that clarity that you cannot get in other IEMs at this range. This is really, really clear. I just cannot emphasize more. It's super clear. But there's one thing, I really think that this is stinky. I'm going to change the tips after this video to just have a better listen. Maybe the tips are also causing the brightness here. And in the future, maybe I'll catch up with another review video of the ZS10 Pro2. Once again, this is provided with me by Linsoul. And they were kind enough. They didn't tell me what to say. I just say whatever I want. So you can see that now my review is like, whoa, this is interesting. I mean, initial impressions, interesting. I would really want to try to change the tips and see whether I can boost the bass, reduce the highs a little bit, and overall make it a lot more pleasant to me. And I'll get back to you guys either in the comments or in another video soon. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.